नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टाप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, the activities of Maharaj Priyavrata. Rajovacha Priyavrto Bhagavata Atma Rama Katam Mune Grihe Ramata Yanmulaha Karma Bandha Parabhavaha. King Parikshit inquired from Shukadeva Goswami, O great sage, why did King Priyavrata, who was a great self-realized devotee of the Lord, remain in household life, which is the root cause of bondage of karma, fruitive activities, and which defeat the mission of human life? Nanunam mukta sanganam tadrishanam dvijarshava griheshva abhiniveshoyam pumsam bhavitum arhati. Devotees are certainly liberated persons. Therefore, O greatest of the Brahmanas, they cannot possibly be absorbed in family affairs. Mahatam kalu viprarche uttama shloka padayoho chaya nivrita chittanam na kutumbe spruha matihi. Elevated Mahatmas who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are fully saturated by the shade of those lotus feet. Their consciousness cannot possibly become attached to family members. One second. Am I reading the right chapter? Okay. Okay. Sorry. महतां खलु विप्रर्षे उत्तमश्लोकपादयोः छायानिर्वृत्तचित्तानां न कुटुम्बे स्पृहामतिः. Elevated Mahatmas who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are fully saturated by the shade of those lotus feet. Their consciousness cannot possibly become attached to family members. संशयोऽयं महान् ब्रह्मन् धारागारसुतादिषु सक्तस्य यत् सिद्धिरभूत् कृष्णे च मतिरच्युता. The king continued, O great Brahmana, this is my great doubt. How was it possible for a person like King Priyavrata, who was so attached to wife, children, and home, to achieve the topmost infallible perfection in Krishna consciousness? Shri Sukha Uvacha Bhadam Uktam Bhagavata Uttama Shlokasya Srimad Charanaravinda Makaranda Rasavyasita Chetaso Bhagavata Paramahamsa Daita Katham Kinchid Antaraya Vihitam Swam Sivatamam Padavimna Prayena Hinvanti. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, what you have said is correct. The glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is praised in eloquent transcendental verses by such exalted personalities as Brahma, are very pleasing to great devotees and liberated persons. One who is attached to the nectarian honey of the Lord's lotus feet and whose mind is always absorbed in his glories may sometimes be checked by some impediment, but he still never gives up the exalted position he has acquired. यर्हि वावहराजन् स राजपुत्रः प्रियव्रतः परमो भागवतो नारदस्य चरणोपसेवा यांजसावगता परमार्था सत्वत्वो ब्रह्मक्षत्रेण दीक्षिष्यमानो अवनि तल परिपालनायान्नता प्रवर गुण गणैकांत भाजन तया स्व पित्रोपामन्त्रितो भगवती वासुदेव एवावधान समाधि योगेन समावेशित सकलकारक क्रियाकलापो नैवाभनन्दत् यद्यपि तद् अप्रत्याम्नात्वयं तद् अधिकरणम् आत्मनो अन्यस्माद् असतोपि पराभवम् अन्वीक्षमानः. Shukadeva Goswami continued, my dear king, Prince Priyavrata was a great devotee because he sought the lotus feet of Narada, his spiritual master, and thus achieved the highest perfection in transcendental knowledge. With advanced knowledge, he always engaged in discussing spiritual subjects and did not divert his attention to anything else. The prince's father then asked him to take charge of ruling the world. He tried to convince Priyavrata that this was his duty as indicated in the revealed scriptures. Prince Priyavrata, however, was continuously practicing Bhakti Yoga by constantly remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thus engaging all his senses in the service of the Lord. Therefore, although the order of his father could not be rejected, the prince did not welcome it. Thus, he very conscientiously raised the question of whether he might be diverted from devotional service by accepting the responsibility of ruling over the world. अतः भगवान् आदिदेव एतस्य गुणविसर्गस्य परिभ्रमः नानुध्याय व्यवसिता सकलजगद् अधिप्राय आत्मा योनिर् अखिल निगम निजगण परिवेष्टितः स्वभवनाद् अवतारा. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, the first created being and the most powerful demigod in this universe is Lord Brahma, who is always responsible for developing universal affairs. Born directly from the Supreme Personality of God, he dedicates his activities to the welfare of the entire universe, for he knows the purpose of the universal creation. This supremely powerful Lord Brahma, accompanied by his associates and the personified Vedas, left his own abode in the highest planetary system and descended to the place of Prince Priyavrata's meditation. स तत्र तत्र गगनतल उडुपतिरिव विमानावलिभिरनुपतम् अमर परिवृद्धैर् अभिपूज्यमान पतिः पतिः च वरुथ सह सिद्ध गंधर्व साध्य चाणर मुनिगणैर् उपगीयमान गंधमादन द्रोणीम् अवभाषयन् उपससर्प. As Lord Brahma descended on his carrier, the great swan, all the residents of the planets named Siddhaloka, Gandharva Loka, Sadhya Loka, and Chanar Loka, as well as great sages and demigods flying in their different airplanes, assembled within the canopy of the sky to receive Lord Brahma and worship him. As he received respect and adoration from the residents of the various planets, Lord Brahma appeared just like the full moon surrounded by illuminating stars. Lord Brahma's great swan then arrived at the border of Gandhamadana hill and approached Prince Priyavrata, who was sitting there. तत्र वा एनं देवर्षिर्हंसयानेन पितरं भगवन्तं हिरण्यगर्भम् उपलभमानः सहसैवोत्थायार्हणेन सह पीता पुत्राभ्याम् अवहिताञ्जलिरुपतस्थे. Lord Brahma, the father of Narada Muni, is a supreme person within this universe. As soon as Narada saw the great swan, he could understand that Lord Brahma had arrived. Therefore, he immediately stood up along with Swayambhu Manu and his son Priyavrata, whom Narada was instructing. Then they folded their hands and began to worship Lord Brahma with great respect. भगवानपि भारत तद् उपनीतार्हाणः सूक्तवाक्येनातितराम् उदितगुणगणावतार सुजय प्रियव्रतम् आदिपुरुषस्तं सदय हासावलोक इति होवाच. My dear King Parikshit, because Lord Brahma had finally descended from Satyaloka to Bhuloka, Narada Muni, Prince Priyavrata, and Swayambhuva Manu came forward to offer him objects of worship and to praise him in highly qualified language according to Vedic etiquette. At that time, Lord Brahma, the original person of this universe, felt compassion for Priyavrata and looking upon him with a smiling face, spoke to him as follows. श्रीभगवानुवाच निबोधातात्यदमृतं ब्रवीमि मा सूयितुं देव अर्हसि अप्रमेयं वयं भवस्ते तत एष महर्षिर्वहामा सर्वे विवसायस्य दृष्टं. Lord Brahma, the Supreme Person within this universe said, My dear Priyavrata, kindly hear attentively what I shall say to you. Do not be jealous of the Supreme Lord who is beyond our experimental measurements. All of us, including Lord Shiva, your father and great sage Maharshi Narada, must carry out the order of the Supreme. We cannot deviate from his order. न तस्य कश्चिन्तपसा विद्यया वा न योगवीर्येण मनीषया वा नैवार्थधर्मे पततः स्वतो वा कृतं विहन्तुं तनुभृत् विभूयात्. One cannot avoid the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not by the strength of severe austerities and exalted Vedic education or the power of mystic yoga, physical prowess, or intellectual activities. Nor can one use his power of religion, his material opulence, or any other means, either by himself or with the help of others, to defy the orders of the Supreme Lord. That is not possible for any living being from Brahma down to the ant. भवाय नाशाय च कर्म कर्तुं शोकाय मोहाय सदा भयाय सुखाय दुःखाय च देह योगम् अव्यक्तदिष्टं जनताङ्गधत्ते. My dear Priyavrata, by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all living entities accept different types of bodies for birth and death, activity, lamentation, illusion, fear of future dangers, and happiness and distress. यद्वाजितन्त्यां गुणकर्मदामभिः सुदुष्टरैर्वत्स वयं सुयोजिताः सर्वे वहाम बलिम ईश्वराय रोता निशीव द्विपदे चतुष्पदः. My dear boy, all of us are bound by the Vedic injunctions to the divisions of Varnashrama according to our qualities and work. These divisions are difficult to avoid because they are scientifically arranged. We must therefore carry out our duties of Varnashrama Dharma, like bull obliged to move according to the direction of a driver, pulling on ropes knotted to their noses. ईशाभिश्रितं हि अवरुन्धमे अवरुन्ध्महेङ्गा दुःखं सुखं वा गुणकर्मसङ्गात् आस्थाय तत्तद्यद् अयुङ्क्तो नाथ चक्षुष्मतान्दा इव नीयमानः. My dear Priyavrata, according to our association with different modes of material nature, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives us our specific bodies and the happiness and distress we achieve. We must therefore remain situated as He is and be conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, exactly as a blind man is led by a person who has eyes with which to see. मुक्तोऽपि तावद् बिभ्रयात् स्वदेहम् आरब् आरब्धम् अस्नन् अभिमानशून्यः यतानुभूतं प्रतियात निद्रः किं त्वा अन्यदेहाय गुणान् न वृङ्क्ते. Even if one is liberated, he nevertheless accepts the body he has received according to his past karma without misconceptions. However, he regards his enjoyment and suffering due to that karma the way an awakened person regards a dream he had while sleeping. He thus remains steadfast and never works to achieve another material body under the influence of the three modes of material nature. भयं प्रमत्तस्य वनेष्वपि स्यात् यतः स आस्ते सह षट् सपत्नः जितेन्द्रियस्यात्मरतेर्बुधस्य ग्राश्रमः किं नु करोति अवद्यम्. Even if he goes from forest to forest, one who is not self controlled must always fear material bondage because he is living with six co wives, the mind and knowledge acquiring senses. Even householder life, however, cannot harm a self realized, learned man who has conquered his senses. Yashat sapatnan vijigishamaनो गृहेषु निर्विश्य यथेत पूर्वम् अत्येति दुर्गाश्रित ऊर्जितारीन् क्षीणेषु कामं विचरेत् विपश्चेत्. One who is situated in household life and who systematically conquers his mind and five sense objects is like a king in his fortress who conquers his powerful enemies. After one has been trained in household life and his lusty desires have decreased, he can move anywhere without danger. त्वं त्वाब्जनाभाङ्घ्रिः सरोजकोशा दुर्गाश्रितो निर्जितषट्सपत्नः भुङ्क्ष्वेह भोगान् पुरुषादिदिष्टान् विमुक्तसङ्गः प्रकृतिं भजस्व. Lord Brahma continued, My dear Priyavrata, seek shelter inside the opening in the lotus of the feet of the Lord, whose navel is also like a lotus. Thus, conquer the six sense objects or organs, the mind and the knowledge acquiring senses. Accept material enjoyment because the Lord extraordinarily has ordered you to do this. You will thus always be liberated from material association and be able to carry out the Lord's orders in your constitutional position. श्रीसुख उवाच इति समभिहितो महाभागवतो भगवतस्त्रिभुवन गुरोर् अनुशासनम् आत्मनो लघुतयावनत शिरोधरो बाढम् इति सबहुमानम् उवाच. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, After thus being fully instructed by Lord Brahma, who is the spiritual master of the three worlds, Priyavrata, his own position being inferior, offered obeisances, accepted the orders, and carried it out with great respect. Hare Krishna. We continue from verse 21 tomorrow. And yes, taking the opportunity of this fifth canto that we are starting. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, 10th chapter, is entitled the Bhagavatam is the has answers to all questions. Yeah, the Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions, and in that Shukadeva Goswami is describing the nature, yeah, of the Bhagavatam itself. Why is Bhagavatam answers to all our questions? We have questions. I will just read few verses to explain ourselves, understand, is it really truth? Yeah. Shri Sukha Uvacha Atra Sarga Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutayah Manvantareshanukatha Nirodha Muktir Ashrayah. So Srimad Bhagavatam is filled of these. It is going to give us that knowledge which is about statement of creation of the universe, how the universe came into existence, Sarga. Visarga means subsequent creation, how the dynasties and everything has come, sub creation. Sthanam, the planetary system. Poshanam, how everything is created. Utaya, how the creative impetus means the force of creation, how this force or the energy is there. And then Manvantara, how the time, as the time is changing, then the rulers of the time, of that time, of particular, what is this word? Um, Varsha, yeah, of that Varsha, of those Varshas, who has ruled it, who is the Manu, and how the changes have come in, and Ishanukatha, the signs of God. Katha means we know the glories and deeds of the Lord, Ishanu Katha, and then Nirodha, and how this whole Bhagavatam helps us to go back to our original constitutional place, which is the Golok, and then Mukti, liberation, and then finally Ashraya. This Saman Bonam, what is the essence? Is ultimately to come and take shelter of the Supreme Lord. That is the ultimate goal. And all these things are answered in Srimad Bhagavatam. And when we go further, when we go in the same chapter, second canto, 10th chapter, Dasamasya Vishuddha Artham. Dasam, this 10 um, mm, what do you call Dasamasya, this 10th canto or the 10th division is very special, and it is even said Vishuddha Artham. The purpose of it is separate, unique. Navanam iha lakshanam varnayanti mahatmanaha shrutenarthena chanjasa. It is said to isolate the transcendence of the Saman Bonam, this is the Ashraya. The symptoms of the rest are described sometimes by Vedic inference, sometimes by different direct explanation, and sometimes by summary explanation given by great sages. So when we see these 9 cantos, or not even 9 cantos, these 9 subjects, what is that? Sarga, Visarga, yeah, Sthanam, Poshanam, Utaya, uh, Manvantareshanu Kathaya, yeah, and then what is the other subject which is mm, Nirodha, Muktir. Yeah, so these are 9 subjects, and they are picked by the direct Vedic inferences or those which are shared by the great sages that are compiled into this Bhagavatam. And then Bhuta Matrendriya Diyam Janma Sarga Udahritah Brahmano Guna Vaisamyad Visargaha Paurusha Smritaha. It says the elementary creation, this what is Sarga is mentioned in the next verse. It is said the elementary creation of 16 items of matter. What are these? Fire, water, land, air, sky. Then sound, form, taste, smell, touch, and then the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, and mind. This is what is called Sarga. Whereas subsequent resultant interaction of the modes of material nature, when all these things, when they are working under the modes of material nature, then this process and the result is called Visarga. Yeah. So in this way, this Srimad Bhagavatam second canto 10th chapter till verse number 7. I'm just going through that. Sthitir Vaikunta Vijaya Poshanam Tad Anugraha Manvantarani Sad Dharma Utaya Karma Vasana. It is said the right situation for living entity is to obey the laws of the Lord and thus be in perfect peace of mind under the protection of the Lord. This is very. The Manus and their laws are meant to give right direction in life. Why should we know about Manus? Because they are the torch bearers of that regulations, the order, the governance that the Lord has passed it through them, and they are the administrative class. The Manus and their laws are meant to give the right direction, and then the impetus for activity is the desire for fruit to work. And now when we are talking about the fifth canto, yeah, it is about That the fifth canto is entitled The Creative Impetus. Means impetus is this force or spirit or mm, force, yeah, and also the inclination, yeah, inclination to do something, that is impetus, and that's what we are reading in the fifth canto, yeah. And as I said, so we can refer to this 10th chapter from the second canto, which is saying avataranu charitam hares chasyanu vartinam pumsam isha katham prokta nana khyanopa Nana uh, Akhyana. Akhyana is narrations. Yeah, when we say Bharata Upakhyana, Bharatopakhyana. So Akhyana means narrations. Upabramhitaha are described. So in this way, in the Ishanukatha, this is what is described. And then I'll quickly go to Nirodha Syanusayanam Atmanaha Saha Saktibihi Muktir Hitvanyata Rupam Swarupena Vyavastitaha. So, and all these things is further helping one to understand what is liberation. Liberation is the permanent situation of the form of living entity after he gives up the changeable, gross and subtle material body. Uh, so this is also is discussed in the Bhagavatam. So and finally, आभासश्च निरोधश्च यथोस्ति अध्यवासियात् अध्यवसीयते स आश्रय परम ब्रह्म परमात्मेति शब्दये. So, this is going to help us to understand who is this Parabrahma, who is this Paramatma, and who is Bhagavan. So, this information we can get from Srimad Bhagavatam. So, that said, that it's already telling the greatness of Bhagavatam, that it can give us so much. And other way of seeing Bhagavatam is, it is said, the first two cantos are considered like the lotus feet of the Lord. The lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. So, what does that mean? First two cantos are telling the whole value of Bhagavatam, and what is the value of Bhagavatam is to appreciate that we should take the ashraya. Muktir, Nirodho Muktir Ashraya. Ultimately, the summon bonum is to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So, first two are giving a kind of a brief explanation, and even in fact, the first two cantos, they also have this the essence of whole Bhagavatam, which is said in the Chatushloki, in the four shlokas of Bhagavatam. It is also in the first two. Then there is this third and fourth are considered to be the thighs of the Lord, and thighs of the Lord. And uh, what is described in this? It is Sarga and Visarga, the primary creation and the secondary creation, how it comes into existence. This is described, and as part of that only we were discussing until yesterday the fourth canto, where we were discussing how Lord Brahma gave birth to Swayambhuva Manu, and from Swayambhuva Manu came his three daughters, Akuti, Devahuti, Prasuti, and two sons, Uttanapada and Priyavrata. Yeah. Fifth canto is further explaining this Visarga, how the next creation, subsequent creation happened. And the fifth canto is also said, the fifth is also said to be the lotus navel of the Lord. Yeah, we know that how the creation comes. We know Lord Brahma himself came from the navel of the Lord, Padmanabha. Um, uh, so the creative impetus or inclination is coming from the navel, and this canto is elaborately telling about this creation. And as part of that, the next dynasty is how Priyavrata expanded, and how Rishabhadev came, and how Bharat Maharaj came, and all these things. And then how is this universe designed, and all this description is explained in this fifth canto. The creative impetus is completely explained. With that little intro, where the glories of the fifth canto, then we enter into the fifth canto, first chapter. We have read till verse number 20. Yeah, if I'm not wrong. So 20. This is why, because mm Parikshit Maharaj, yeah, he was hearing to Shukadev Goswami, who was narrating the conversation between Maitreya Rishi and Vidura. Yeah, Vidura was asking the questions to Maitreya Rishi. Why? Because Lord Krishna told to Uddhava when he was about to leave, yeah, to the spiritual world. He gave all the knowledge, and then Uddhava gave it to Maitreya. And Maitreya, in that way, he received this from a succession which Vidura have asked, and he also heard. And after that, Vidura left. Yeah, if you remember, that is the last chapter in the fourth canto. From now, here, Parikshit Maharaj wanted to know further about Priyavrata. Yeah? Okay, please can you tell me more about Priyavrata? And why? Because Priyavrata, who is perfected. Why? Because he has a great, great teacher. Who was that? None other than Narada Muni, who has taught him perfectly. And afterwards, how come that he has entered into household life? Come on. Household life means a life of all attachments. Household life means a life of a compromised life. Uh, in that life, how can he enter? And of course, surprisingly, in the end, he attained perfection. How is it possible? So this is the question. The first question is, how could King Priyavrata, who was a Bhagavata Atma Rama, means one who is a great devotee, who was not just a devotee by force, but a devotee by love. He had this great love for the Lord, and he became satisfied. When a devotee is so much satisfied, why does he have to enter household life? This is first question. Why? Because it is said household life is yen moola karma bandhana. So that is binding and defeats the mission of human life. Parabhava. Parabhava means defeating. After all, the human life is not to just settle in a household life. It is not the purpose that one gets into a good education, one finishes very nicely with merits, and then he gets into a job, and then he starts making a family, and then social network, social connection, all that defeats the whole purpose. The human life is athat brahma jigyasa. One should take care of his own life by actually practicing uh, sense control. And in the household life, usually it is seen that no, it is a license for sense enjoyment. So how come that household life was opted? Huh? And then devotees like him are mukta sangha. They're free, they have no more attachment. Uh, in fact, the example given here is Mahatam Khalu Viprarshe Uttama Shloka Padayo, means elevated Mahatmas who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of Lord, Chaya Nirvrita Chittanam, are fully satisfied. They are so much satisfied, na kutumbe spruhamatihi. They do not desire household life. So how come that Priyavrata married in the end? So the next question is, how was it possible for him to achieve infallible perfection in Krishna consciousness? Okay, first surprising thing is, after he got such a great teacher who trained him perfectly in devotional life, how come that he took household life? Second thing is, okay, household life can be a bondage, but how come that he became perfect in Krishna consciousness in spite of that? This is the question. And then Shukadev Goswami's reply is very, very inspirational for householders like us. He's saying obstacles cannot obstruct absorption. Yeah, one may see that, oh, Grihastha life could be full of obstacles. I cannot prioritize, I cannot balance, I have that challenge, I have this challenge, so many things to take care. No, obstacles cannot obstruct absorption, which means if we start getting into hearing Bhagavat Katha, if we start practicing devotional life, that absorption goes deeper and it's not obstructed by all the obstacles. Yeah? So devotee is not really worried. He says Srimat Charanaravinda Makaranda Rasa. So one who is attached to the nectarian honey of the lotus feet of Lord. What is it? Srimat Charanaravinda, hmm, Charanaravinda. So this is saying at the lotus feet, Aravinda is very, very nice. Makaranda Rasa. It's like a honey that is there at the feet of the Lord. One who is attached, then he is completely lost. Whose mind is absorbed in his glories, which are pleasing to the devotees. Aveshita chetaso bhāgavata paramahamsa daita katham. So, such paramahamsas, they will not be affected, even if the paramahamsa is in a household life. So obstacles in bhakti. A devotee is not impeded in his devotion due to time and karma. However, obstacles may arise due to what? It is very clearly mentioned that will come in the um, in the Bhagavatam. This comes later in the 10th canto, and then there is also this description that comes in the 5th canto, Rahugana. This is excellent. When we will soon, very soon go there, and then we through this 5th canto we will understand obstacles will come, but obstacles itself will not stop our progress. It is only that if we take shelter of the Lord, if we can dedicate ourselves to the Lord, then obstacles doesn't matter. Absorption is the key. And then, of course, then his father Swayambhu Manu then asked him to take charge of ruling the world. Ruling the world means you have to have your own, expansion. You only have dynasty, you have to have a lineage and all these things. So he was thinking, although such an order could not be refused, Priyavrata did not welcome it, because he was already absorbed in pure bhakti from as he received from Narada Muni. But then he took it up. Why? Because Uttanapada descendants up to Prachetas had ruled the kingdom of the earth. But now there was no king, for their son Daksha took to performing austerities. So Swayambhu Manu, he thought, hey, now Prachetas have gone, their son Daksha has went to perform austerities. So who is going to rule? So that is the reason Swayambhu Manu has approached Priyavrata and asked, can you take up the rule? Thus Priyavrata and his descendants ruled until the 5th Manvantara. At the beginning of 6th Manvantara, Daksha gave up his austerities and became the king. So this is also we will hear in the end of this chapter, or no, in the end of the 4th chapter we already said Daksha took over the rule from Chakshusha Manvantara. So this was 6th Manvantara. So he went to perform austerities so that he can qualify himself. Why he has to do austerities? Because he has offended Lord Shiva. How? We know this whole thing that has happened as part of the Daksha Yagya, right? So that happened. So finally, when Priyavrata was thinking, so Lord Brahma, he understood, yeah, I need to help out. So he came down and he started inspiring Priyavrata by giving a reasoning for convincing him. Now, this is explained that we all are under the orders of the Supreme Lord. Huh? We are all including me. He says the Lord's order is undeniable by anyone. Kindly hear attentively the truth I am speaking. Do not be jealous of the Lord who is beyond our experimental measurements. All of us must carry his order. And what is the Lord's order? Na tasya kaschin tapasa vidyaya va na yoga viryena manishaya va. So one cannot disobey the Lord's order even if one is powerful through austerities, or one is highly educated, or if one is a mystic yogi, or he has physical prowess or intelligence, wealth, religion, anything. Kritam vihantum tanu brihad vibhuyat. Can one avoid the orders of the Supreme? No one can avoid the orders of the Supreme Lord. Under the Lord's order, the jiva accepts a body to perform action for birth and death, and for lamentation. He is also creating his own pain, and also illusion, fear, happiness, and distress. So there is this plan of the Lord to for the jiva, at the interest of the jiva, of course, that he is creating such a thing, and one should obey just like a bull is obeying the master. How? the bull is controlled to the the rope tied to the nose. So said so, even a liberated person accepts the body he has received according to his past karma. However, he considers its resultant enjoyment and suffering the way an awakened person regards a dream. So, Priyavrata is hearing to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma is saying, self control are unaffected. Yeah, don't worry. If even if you take a household life, if you have self control, then there is no problem. And after saying all these things, Priyavrata is asked, he is saying, seek shelter of Lord's lotus feet, Abjanabhangri Saroja, and thus conquer the six senses. And of course, this is mentioned like six wives, the mind and the five senses. They One should have a control of them. Yeah, and when one has control of them, then he can attain fearlessness. I think we covered till that part today. Praktirim Bhajasva. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And yeah, let's continue with Canto with great awe and reverence, and at the same time with humility and devotion. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank
Yes.
you. Prabhuji, we hear many times that it's compared this material world
Mm-hmm.
with a dream, but we see
Mm-hmm.
that dream is not real. It's
Mm-hmm.
temporary, but it's also not real. And this material world is temporary, but it's real.
Mm-hmm.
How do we correlate this analogy with this?
We are in a dream thinking that this is reality. Of course, this is real, no doubt, but this reality is a temporary reality. But we consider this as a permanent reality. Maya, when
Okay,
we
in
say
that
Maya,
sense, yeah.
yeah, though everything is reality, it's like daydreaming, which means like you open your eyes wide open, but whatever you are thinking, if you are not relating it to actuality, then it's a dream, right? Just like, just like, yeah, when a girl is walking on the street, yeah, this example is given by Adi Shankaracharya, that um, the dog is seeing this as an object of food, yeah, and a young man is thinking this young girl to be object of enjoyment, right? And then there's saint, he's seeing this, the lady who is walking is uh, is a bag of bones and mucus and blood. Now what is reality? Hmm? Reality
Yes,
should be
Prabhuji,
one,
yes.
right? One,
What's
right?
saying? Yes.
So what we are
And
doing is,
what's
according to our perception, we are not seeing things as they are. As they are means, in the sense, now when we are taking shelter of Bhagavatam, we are seeing, hey, everything is constituted and created, and everything is sarga visarga, yeah, atra sarga visargascha sthanam poshanam utayah. And at least in that sense, we can see everything is related to the Lord, everything is part and parcel of the Lord. That is the right vision. If we are we seeing that? We are seeing a different reality, right?
yes, Prabhuji, yeah.
Yeah. So in one way, Jagan is mithya. It is illusion. It doesn't mean it's not real. It is real, but it is illusion to us to make us think something else. In reality, it is something else. Similarly, in dream, yeah, you may have wings. Yeah, you tend to think that you are flying with the wings. In reality, those wings are not real wings, right?
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji, yeah. Thank you.
Hmm. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, then we see us tomorrow. We go through this chapter further. Vanchakalpatarabhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी। Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.